Welcome back to the latest in a series of videos for EMC Atmos Cloud Storage. This is Frank Murphy with EMC, and in this end-to-end demo, I'll be continuing from where we left off in last month's demo. This time we'll go end-to-end from the perspective of the storage admin all the way out to the client, and along the way we'll focus on three of the core architecture concepts for Atmos, which are multi-tenancy, policy-based management, and global distribution and data mobility. So let's get started. In our example, we'll start with the perspective of the admin, who operates the Atmos object storage infrastructure that could be delivered as purpose-built appliances, as VMs with the virtual edition, or managed as a service online from one of our service provider partners, which I'll represent here using the Atmos Online Reference Architecture, which is still very much available today. The key point is, prior to Atmos, the admin was tasked with provisioning LUNs, hypersplits, or even all the way up to file systems, and then you had to go off and design protection, replication, and retention schemes. With Atmos, all of that TDM is automated. Instead, you do two things. First, you provision tenants who are securely separated from each other, and I'll show those here. Then you configure policies which drive your data services here and here. They map to your business rules of how you want your data distributed, protected, and retained. And that's it. Then we'll switch over to see things from the user perspective, and we'll see how they interact with the system through 4 different clients, all securely using the same API, the same tenant, and the same policy. As a cloud architecture, with Atmos, you don't manage individual frames or filers. Instead, you manage everything as a single system from a single pane of glass. So in our example, our tenants need to share photos. So I've created a tenant called Photo Share. So let's drill down here to see those details. So you can see that the tenant has a unique ID that separates them from other tenants in the system. Now, here's where it gets interesting. To track system capacity and utilization for chargeback, over here I've created 3 separate UIDs. One for the client apps we're about to use, another one for some gateway testing that we're doing with our partner 710, and a third for some file archiving I'm doing using FMA, our EMC file management appliance. So the key here is that the admin provisions users, not LUNs, disks, or individual arrays. And separate tenants means secure access to the system from top to bottom. And this level of identity means that we can now start tracking storage capacity on disk as well as network bandwidth in and out using the Atmos API. This gives you granular metering for chargeback. Remember, multi-tenancy, secure multi-tenancy is all about delivering infrastructure as a service, either externally over the web like you do with our service providers, or internally to your own user community. It's not a bolt-on afterthought, it's a key architecture concept. Like the RAID-based protection schemes of a generation ago, Atmos gives you, the storage admin, great flexibility and efficiency to manage and protect data through the use of policies. So if we go back here to our Photo Share tenant screen, this is where we can drill down to specify those policies. And at the heart of the data protection scheme in Atmos is this concept of replicas or copies. Atmos supports both full-type copy behaviors as well as parity copies, which offer up the same durability with a lot less overhead. Now, in our EMC World policy example coming up, you'll see 2 full copies or replicas created in one site synchronously, and a parity or erasure-coded copy created asynchronously over at a second site. And further down this very same screen, you can configure dates for retention of actual deletion of these copies, and also you can configure other data services such as compression, dedupe, or whether or not you want these objects stored on spin-down disks. Now, a second key piece of policies is this concept of metadata, meaning the data that describes each object in the system. It can be set by the operating system, such as when an object was created, updated, or last accessed, or it could be set by the user or even custom coded to your application to reflect any interesting custom attribute or aspect of an SLA. So policies let you, the IT admin, deliver a customized infrastructure shaped by your SLA profiles for various customers, and you're able to protect data in a variety of methods throughout its lifecycle. So that's it. Imagine that. In roughly the last 3 minutes, we've covered all you need to know to manage petabytes of content from just a few screens. That's what makes Atmos efficient and scalable. And now your work here as the IT admin is effectively done and hands-off. So now we'll shift focus over to the client experience. So first up is my client written in Flex. I've provisioned my access from Atmos Online, my reference account. I'm going to drag in my content. There it goes off to the infrastructure. And now I want to look at the debug, what we call the debug window, so you can actually see what's happening under the covers with the web services interface and the various calls. So that picture is off. I'm going to bring in another picture here, drop that in, and you can see step by step what's happening under the covers. So if I flip down here, I can see the various puts and calls or gets from the system via the API. Again, very, very transparent to the user, but if you're developing against the infrastructure, it's a great way to get started with some sample code. So now that that's done, I'm going to refresh the view here. And I'm going to show you what you see under the covers is happening with the policy, and that's through this concept of viewing the replicas of the objects themselves as they've gone into the infrastructure. So I click on that link, and now what I'm going to see is I'm going to drill down and look at each individual object and see that various replicas have been created, 2 locally and 1 async remotely. So here's client number 2, the Atmos Fox Explorer. It's a plugin we've developed for Firefox. So let's go find that car I'm interested in. Hey, I can dream, can't I? So the client here uses the same tenant and the same user ID and shared secret as the last tool, but here I have some other added functionality again, all of which runs in just nothing other than a browser. So here are my 2 pictures from the last use case, and now I'm going to add some more content. Let's say I take this picture over here, and I drag and drop that in, move that up to the cloud, and it's done. And last up is what we call the shareable URL. So here I'm going to create the ability for others to view just this object of my car. So in other use cases, this could be as tiny as a particular JPEG file such as this, or since we're dealing with object storage here, these could be much, much larger files such as MRIs or even virtual machines for that matter, right? It's just a file. So all I have to do is set an expiration date on the object itself, and the ACL is burned right into the URL. I could then tweet or email these to a friend or a doctor if it's an MRI, or even to one of our field guys downloading software or virtual machines. Once it hits their browser, down it comes to the client. Boop, done. So here's the last client we'll look at. This is from Gladanet. This presents as just a plain old Windows drive on my local system, but uses that concept of tenancy. Here I've got tenants configured for Atmos Online as a destination and also for AT&T Synaptic. Just plug in the UID and the keys and the access point and off you go. I can also point this around to an on-premises instance that I have deployed in my lab. And what does that look like to the client? It looks just like a plain old Windows drive. Here I can see the same content we've been talking about. There it's listed as my local drive, and again, a completely transparent user experience here. So that red car I've been talking about, okay, I've had to change my sites a little bit. Now this is actually what it looks more like. But I can take and add in other content, just drag and drop. I get a little status bar, or I can synchronize these to upload next time I come back online. So let's recap the client experience here for our little EMC World photo sharing project. First, we use Adobe FlexBase tool. Works on any platform. There's an upload to the API. Then the policy engine basically takes care of the rest of what that object does in the system. Then we use the browser. Same file, same API, same access. Same API calls. Then we flipped over to Internet Explorer, browser-based. Nothing but a URL to get to that object. Then the last thing was a Windows Drive application. Packaged app, very much of a Windows traditional desktop look and feel. And this is really what we mean by data mobility. Any of these apps could run on any type of mobile device from literally anywhere in the world. We have another one that we call the Atmos iSafe, runs on an iPhone or an iPad. Any of these clients could tag their objects with metadata to really shape the behavior of the storage backend. So in this video, we also went end-to-end from the IT admin all the way out to the users to see how tenancy and policy fit together. And we also saw clients ranging from the homebrew developer apps to packaged apps to show flexibility, flexible access to the system. And lastly, we stepped through the benefits of multi-tenancy, policy-based management, and global distribution and data mobility. Want to hear more? Head on over to YouTube and search on .bb space Atmos for our newest testimonials and videos. Or you can check out either of our landing pages. And thank you for your time.